Well, good morning, and thank you for joining us. Hello, Gina. Hello, Dennis.
Hello, Eric. Hey,
So,
I like
Gina,
your shirt.
well, thank you. I figured Don Brolin would appreciate that, and the folks at T-Sheets. Big shout out to them. So, you were saying, Gina, before we went live, that I had a 50-50 chance of whether your client was female or male. I blew it. So the fact that I told you I called them and told you to reschedule isn't going to fly for the purposes of this discussion. But anyhow, that was great fun. Thank you. I'm so glad you're here. It always makes me more comfortable when you're on because then I have someone to ask questions to. So that when you and I do a joint how to host a hangout, I'll know you'll be there. So what was your client's phone number again, just so I can make sure that you're there?
So sorry, not giving it out over the air.
Okay. So we've got quite a few people that I think are going to be joining us today. I'm going to go ahead and do that, the thing where we add the link. So give me just a moment. And event page. Here is the event link. Thank you, Google, for this amazing service that is very challenging to use.
Still is.
Still is. It's changed again.
Yeah,
I use Google Profiles. I use Google Profiles with my QuickBooks Online, and they've changed it again. So instead of having the little program or the little profile icon on the left side, it's now in the upper right side. And they took away the little icon and just left the name. So unfortunately for me, I had a couple profiles with the same name. So I had to spend some time cleaning that up this morning.
Well, I can imagine.
Beta.
You know that Gmail has been in beta ever since it was launched.
Yeah.
It's pretty interesting. All right, well, we're after 9 o'clock, and people are starting to log in, and I have a feeling that more and more will come, and we will go ahead and get started so that we can create a great recording, if nothing else. And we're going to talk today about Mailchimp and email campaigns, and the reason why I use Mailchimp isn't because it's necessarily the best or any reason along those lines. What I like about Mailchimp is its integration with all the other products. Ironically, one of our ABLE members sent me a chat message this morning, and he said, hey, I'm looking for something that integrates really well with CRMs. How does Mailchimp do that? And I said, look, if anything is going to, it's going to be Mailchimp. And specifically, one of the examples I have along those lines is that I started a different product, Mad Mimi, just so that I could learn it. It's not nearly as slick in terms of developing your template and your campaigns. And when I asked them, do you have a plugin that will automatically sync my WordPress users with a Mailchimp list, it was like I had horns on my head. I mean, they didn't understand what I was talking about. They're not there yet. They haven't evolved to listen to the customer feedback to get that type of information and build those types of things. Well, that's a really critical component. For example, at schoolofbookkeeping.com, every time somebody enrolls, they're automatically added to that mailing list, and then when they cancel, they're removed. That housekeeping is a tremendous undertaking and great to get off of my shoulders, have it automated. Mailchimp does that automatically, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So anyhow, welcome to our second Thursday morning hangout, building on the success of the illustrious Seth David's Friday morning hangout. Seth and I are the co-founders of schoolofbookkeeping.com. I am not Don Brolin, but I am definitely promoting T-Sheets and Team Brolin here this morning. I love this. I love both of them. They're great people and wonderful organizations, so I just want to say hello to them. Schoolofbookkeeping.com is great for a lot of reasons. We offer a variety of different services, including learning. That's our big focus. We also provide Q&A and answers, and great things like Thursday and Friday morning hangouts. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started right now with email campaigns using Mailchimp.
Can I ask you a question? Can I interrupt you, Eric? That's what we're good at.
I'm sorry. I'm the only one that's allowed to speak, Gina. Of course.
I'm using Constant Contact.
I'm sorry.
You're sorry? Is that what you said?
No, it's not bad. And it's the other one that is clearly connected to all the bits and pieces out there. So, and maybe even more so.
How about AweberWeber?
AweberWeber, it's not bad. I mean, it's you see it a lot. Let me put it to you this way: the two that are trusted, and then I'm going to let you finish your question, Gina, are Mailchimp and Constant Contact. When you get an email from either one of those, you generally think a little bit higher about the company, and because it is email, and sometimes that's deemed as spam, regardless of whether or not that person added themselves to your list or is doing business with you, which allows, so you understand the spam rules. If somebody's actually doing business with you and has transacted with you and you add them to a list to keep them up to date, as long as you follow the anti-spam rules, that's completely legal and appropriate. So when you get something from a Mailchimp or a Constant Contact, you're more likely to feel good about the company or the sender. AweberWeber, I will just say this, it's a good product. I don't use it. I have played with it. But I will tell you that generally when I see something from AweberWeber, I think, well, that's a little spammier than Mailchimp or Constant Contact. That's my personal opinion. Gina, did you have more to ask?
I was just going to ask you about the pricing for Mailchimp.
So we'll go in that. I actually created a mock Mailchimp account for us to look at, and I'm going to put that up on the screen in just a moment. And when I do, we will actually go through it, how that works. Now, they all kind of have a similar model, and it's based on the number of people in your list.
Right.
So with Mailchimp, what's really nice is you get started for under 2,000, and you can send pretty much enough emails throughout the month for free. As soon as you top 2,000, then you start paying, but you know, it's $10, $25, $35 a month. It's peanuts. If you're dealing with a list of 150,000 members and it costs you $400, $500, $600, $700, $800 a month, you're not going to care. Because if you're emailing 150,000 people on a regular basis, unless you're doing it for your own benefit, there's usually some financial gain with a list that size. I had in my former company over 40,000 in a list. These were all of our customers. And that list would literally bring cash flow in on a daily basis just with a single email. So, and it works the same way with School of Bookkeeping. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And we are going to look at desktop 1. Can you see it okay?
Not yet.
Yep, we're good.
Okay.
Okay, and now I believe I have control. So what I've done is I have created, okay, that was really weird. Cool. All right, so I've created an account on Mailchimp, which just takes a couple of seconds. You just click Get Started for free. I skipped that part because I think you can figure it out. And this one's under Snappy Help, which is another company that Seth and I own. And what we're going to do here is we're going to start by creating a campaign and creating a list. And the two are obviously go hand in hand. First, we're going to create the list, though, because we have to know who we're sending to. So we're just going to click on Create a List. And we will check USA. Oh, it's asking me to verify my number. So here you go. Now you all have it. And I'm going to get a text from them, and it is okay. Perfect. So now I'm going to create a list. I'm just going to simply click on the only button on the screen, and I'm going to give the list a name. And we're going to call this Prospects. And the from email will be me. And I'm using snappyhelp.com. And the from name will be Eric Greenspan, a.k.a. Snappy G. And I'm going to let them know how they found us. You are a customer of Snappy Help. My 4-year-old son is walking behind me. You can't see him, but you probably can hear his feet. Okay, so when I'm done with that, I then have the option of, do I want to be notified? And I can get a daily summary of news, people that add or that unsubscribe. But I'm just going to get the daily summary just to make it simple. And I'm done. So I have several ways to bring in a list. I can add a link on my website to automatically create a link to the Mailchimp list so that when people sign up, if you ever go to, let me do it real quick, schoolofbookkeeping.com, you'll see this pop up. And when this pops up, the email address that gets added here will automatically go into a list on Mailchimp instantaneously. Okay, and what's very important, you've heard the term autoresponders. Autoresponders are tools that you use within Mailchimp. In this case, I have one set up so that when somebody adds this list, they get a really cool email from us saying hello and giving them a good overview of what our products are. So that's one way to do that. Now I'm going to show you how we integrate a plugin on WordPress. Remember our talk last week was about WordPress. So I'm going to actually tie the two together. I'm going to show you how that happens, what you're seeing right there. Okay, so we're going to go back to our subscribers. So let's go ahead and add a subscriber. And the easiest way to do that is to simply click on Add Subscribers, add a subscriber, and start typing. So let's add Seth David at nerdenterprises.com. And of course, Seth gave me permission, right? And then this checkbox here is if Seth's already there, by adding this, it will go to that and update and refresh the content that already exists. So we're going to subscribe Seth to our list, and it says mission accomplished, we're successful. And for all intents and purposes, we're done. We can go and create a campaign to our one-person list. So let's do that. So we have a number of options in creating a campaign, and don't let this fool you. In the beginning, just pick regular old campaign. Now, let me tell you that this will automatically create a plain text campaign for people that can't view HTML or have chosen not to. This was really more for when people didn't have the latest and greatest technology or they had mobile devices that didn't allow for HTML viewing. So I think over time this is going to phase out. So I'm going to send to the entire list. You can choose a segment, which means only the people that I've added since a particular period or since my last email blast. But in this case, we'll pick the entire list. And we're just going to give it a name. And these blanks really are hard to mess up. They're pretty simple. And you can do less here than more. All the other stuff you'll see on the page can be ignored. Just name your campaign, give it a subject, and off and running you go. So in this case, we're going to say, welcome to snappyhelp.com. And in this case, I'm just going to copy and paste the name of my campaign as the subject because that works for me in this particular case. So once again, you see where I created this. Eric Greenspan, aka SnappyG, automatically got populated into the from and the from email. So I'm pretty much done there, and I'll next move on to my template. By clicking the next button over here, by the way, that's the same thing as what I just did. So a template is something that's automatically designed for layout purposes. And I'll show you a little more illustrious one in the themes. And you can see there's quite a few that you can choose from. So in this case, let's just pick, well, it was Seth's birthday, so why don't we pick birthday gift 2, since he's the only person that's receiving. And as you can see here, this is a, I don't need to see this, thank you very much. Okay, so what you can see here now is a basic layout, a basic template of what in fact we're going to send. If I hit send right now to get this. So obviously I want to go in and I want to edit it. So I'm literally just going to click on the elements on the page. And I'm going to start typing and making changes. And you know what? This is very interesting. This is a template. And they've made some change. You know, at Google Plus, they've made some changes since yesterday. I'm seeing some new features here. I'm not going to point them out right now because I think it might confuse. So we're going to leave happy birthday, and we're going to just change this green text down here to Seth David. And because Seth David is such a big brand, we're going to make him bigger. And then we'll get started by typing here. Okay, now this is going to be really cool because what I'm going to show you now is how you can actually add content into this above and beyond just the text. So if I want to put in a picture, I'll click on my file manager, and I will then browse for that image, and I'm going to go to Photos and Happy Birthday Seth, of course.
Can those images be on the web?
They can. You can pull them from any URL. You can see here it's a link to a URL. So you can actually put the URL in there and it'll pull it. But this one I'm actually uploading. And here's a catch. Now, images are usually bigger than what Mailchimp will allow. And if you want it to fit into your Mailchimp campaign properly so that it doesn't get too big on the inbox, the best thing to do is to set this to 600 width, hit your tab, and it's going to automatically resize the height, and you're done. So I'm sorry, you know what I spoke earlier about the URL, that would be clicking up here, the image URL. But in this case, what I want to do is I want to link this particular image to a URL. That's what this box is for. So I misspoke. I'll show you. Dennis, I think I'll do that offline to show you how to use an image online because I really don't think it's going to be easier for you. What I would recommend you do is grab that image, drag it to your desktop, and pop it up into Mailchimp.
Okay.
It's much easier to work with that way because you're going to want to resize it. So it may not even work the way you're thinking. I have to think through that. I spoke too soon. Too much coffee. All right, so I'm going to set up a link to the URL, and the link in this case is going to be, hey, there you go. Let's go with one I've used before, schoolofbookkeeping.com Hangouts. Why not? And then if I want to style this a bit, I can choose its alignment. I can put a border around it, but usually I'm okay with it, and I'm just going to say save and insert, and we're done. That's it. Okay, now you can embed a video into Mailchimp as well, but all it really does is make the video image show up. I don't love to use it. What it does is it suggests, hey, this is a video, but all it's going to do is click out. It's not going to play inside. So I'm not going to necessarily show you how to do that right now, but if somebody's interested in adding a video in, we can do that. Now there's one other thing that we want to do after we're going to save and close this section, is we're going to put a header image up here. And by doing so, we need to remove, you know what, I'm going to get rid of that one. There we go. Okay, so now I'm going to pick another image, and I have to click upload to get it. You can drag and drop here as well. And I'm going to go pick a logo, and of course it'll be this one. And boom. Now, this is a really handy feature. At some point, they're going to let you know that 600 to 800 pixels is the max that you can send. I like to use 600 just to be safe. And it says, let's fix it. So I'm going to click let's fix it because it's too big. And I'm going to change this to 600. And I'm going to click apply and save. And it's automatically going to resize that image to fit on my screen perfectly. So that is my initial email. It took me just a few minutes to get it set up. I'm not going to deliver anything for 50% off, so I can delete these elements. Now this template is interesting. Let's see if I can get rid of this stuff. It doesn't look like it's going to let me delete these elements, which is very peculiar. Usually you can. So it looks like I'm going to have to just change them because these are regions on the screen that are fixed. I chose a template in this case that is locked. Usually you can add and remove every section of the page. So I'll go ahead and say, you get nothing. And And
would that be like a premium feature, being able to get?
No, it's the template I chose. If I switch the template, all the regions are typically, you can remove them, and you can, unless these are locked or something, and I'm not sure. Usually, this is more of an idiot-proof version of a template, meaning it doesn't have all the flexibility that I'm used to. The template we use for School of Bookkeeping, you can add and remove parts of the page very, very easily. And I think the easiest thing for us to do is to go switch the template so you can see that. And I'm just going to pick one of the generic templates like this one here. Let's just choose it. Let's pick a 2-column. So I'm going to change the template, and it's going to incorporate the elements. Now, that one's terrible. Let's try that again. Let's get a right sidebar. So again, okay, so now in this case, once again, we can drag an image up here, or choose an image, and we can start designing again. Now what's different about this template, which I like much better, is now, ready?
Eric, we lost you for a second there. You said, what you like about this template is, and that's where we lost you.
I went off the air. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. What I like about this template is the following. Ready? I can add content wherever I choose. See? I can add an image wherever I choose. I can add follow icons if I want to, social shares.
I'm assuming you can add content from like your blog too, right?
So typically, we're going to do that right now. So typically, we're going to use a text box for that. When we do that, we typically will drag in something along these lines, a text box, and then we'll replace this text with, oops, come on, with blog links. So one of the things that I really like about Mailchimp also is that it uses native HTML. Some of the products don't. So watch what happens here. If I grab this, let's grab, of course, happy birthday, Seth David. If I grab this link right here and I paste it, it automatically retained the URL link. You see that? So that's a nice feature. So this is content from Too Legit to Audit. So new posts from our blog. And just to make sure nobody's confused, I'm going to add an image here. And I'm going to upload. The Too Legit to Audit logo. So now we have a basic happy birthday to Seth text box. And we have our blog. We have an image. And just for the heck of it, since we didn't use this logo yet, we'll throw another logo in here. And then we can add to this caption down below. Schoolofbookkeeping.com will help you do many things. And your email is pretty much done. So we've got our social links, we've got our logos, we've got our content, we've got our images. This is a little snafu a lot of people make in their first, when they set up the templates, they put this area to put a short preview. Sometimes you get an email from someone and it actually says there's a short preview. We don't want that text there. We want to replace it. I like to just get rid of it. You need to keep this box though, because that view this email in your browser is very important. Okay, and I want to do one more thing. I want to add social sharing icons so that people can share my email with their friends. And I want to add a signature box. And the reason why I make a signature box is because I want to be able to reuse this email again as a template, and then I can just change the top content without affecting the signature box, which is going to be there every single time. And that's it. Okay, so I'm going to save and exit, and I'm going to go back to my list. And one of the things you're going to notice is, you can see here I only have one subscriber. And one of the things that everybody asks is, how do I get my WordPress or CRM or wherever you keep your list, how do I get those people into a list? All right, so that's what we're going to do next. We're going to show you how to use a plugin to do just that. And the plugin that I've installed is called Mailchimp for WordPress. Once again, you go into plugins, add new. If you type Mailchimp, you'll find my favorite plugin for this purpose, which is not actually made by Mailchimp themselves. Theirs works, but it's not as good. And it's right here by Danny Van Kooten, and you can see that it's installed. Otherwise, I'd click the install button there and activate it.
Is Constant Contact there too?
Yeah, they have a similar type of thing. So here's one here. I don't know which one works the best because I don't use it on a day-to-day basis, but I can test them for you. Usually you want to go with the one that has the highest rating and the most number of downloads.
Yeah, the one really looks sad, doesn't it?
Okay, so remember when I said Mailchimp is my preferred product? This is why. Because more people use it and the tools are just more advanced. So this guy's got 881,000. Because Constant Contact has that type of functionality built into it. And if that's the case, then there's absolutely no reason to add a plugin. So you wouldn't see the stats. So I'll give them that credit. Okay, so let's go and check it out.
So plugins are our friends.
Yeah, they can be. All right, so when you open up Mailchimp for WordPress, the plugin, it's going to ask you for an API key. And an API key is nothing more than, hey, who are you? And how do I connect to that other thing that I want to work with? So in this case, we're going to go to our account settings in Mailchimp. Oh, they moved it under my name now. Okay, and I'm going to go to Extras, API Keys. And I'm going to generate an API key. There it is. That's it. I'm done. I copy this. I paste it to WordPress. Click Save Changes, and watch what happens. It automatically connects to Mailchimp, and because I only have one list, it selects that particular list as the connection. So what I can do now is I can create a form that I'm going to embed in my website. And the default is already set up, so all I have to literally do is take this little short code right here and put that somewhere on my website so that somebody can access it. And I'm going to use a widget. And a widget is something that you typically see. Let me show you a widget. Each one of these are widgets. So I'm going to add right up here at the top of my logo a box that does similar to what this little pop-up from a plugin called Lead-In is doing. And let me show you how that works. I'm going to choose footer area 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Get it? And I'm going to add a text box to footer area 4. And I'm going to paste in that shortcode that I just grabbed from my form. And that literally is it. You can style it. You can do a few other things. I moved it to the top. But That literally is all you need to do. Now it's taking a second to refresh because I have a cache running. So I'm going to open that up real quick and release it.
You better go catch that cache.
Yeah, that's right.
It runs too far away.
That's right. Okay, let's see if that worked. Well, not yet, but it will come. There will be a form here at some point. It just takes a couple of seconds sometimes to refresh. I may have to refresh my browser. So let's bring up Chrome and try it there. See if it's updated yet. Nope, not yet. Let me make sure I did it right. I promise you it'll be there at some point. This is a known WordPress thing. I'm going to save it again. You know what? It may be a color thing. Maybe it's there and we just can't see it. Let's put it in a sidebar. And there it is. It was. See, the reason why we couldn't see it is because I think it was, well, no, it should have shown up. I don't know what it was. It was a little WordPress glitch, but the point is it was there and it would have shown up if you gave it a little time. But now you can see it's in my sidebar. And I can style that even further by adding a title. What do you think the odds of it working are? Ah, there it is.
There you go.
So it's working perfect in the sidebar. For some reason, it wasn't updated in the footer.
Well, it's black on black.
Yeah, I don't think so because that's gray. It would have shown up. Trust me when I tell you WordPress has its little glitches, and sometimes it's just a caching issue either on the browser side or on the other side, but it would have eventually shown up. It's a weird thing. This also happens, just for your knowledge, this also happens frequently in YouTube. If you ever use YouTube and you change the image that is shown on the screen, the thumbnail as it's called, if you choose your own thumbnail, like I will do for this Hangout when it's finished, that may not update for almost an hour or even two. Sometimes it takes longer. So don't fret if you change a thumbnail and it doesn't replace itself immediately. Okay, so if I add another email address of mine here and click sign up, please select a list, at least one list to subscribe to. Huh. Let's see what I messed up on. Anybody have an idea of what I messed up on there?
You didn't automatically set it to go to a certain list.
I think that's possible, but it only has one. Let's see what it says. That one's fine. Forms.
See, here is where I would go insane. I would not do that.
Ah, right here. I missed the checkbox for prospects.
Okay. I was kind of right.
You were 100% right. So it might need a refresh, but I'm guessing. Hey, perfect. Thank you, Gina. Gina, what's your client's number again? So this is another, what keeps popping up down here is another way to do this, another plugin. It's called Lead In. It's really cool. It's still in beta. I believe the guys that run it are awesome, but it's a very unique product. I might actually do a Hangout about it down the road. Okay, so we're done. We have created a, let's go back to our Mailchimp account, and let's go look at lists. We have created a campaign. We've got a list. Now, why does prospects still only show one? Any idea?
Confirm it. They didn't confirm it?
That's correct. I'm guessing there's going to be an email in here somewhere that hasn't shown up yet.
Because it's running around the world and back again.
Yeah.
Can we look at images in Mailchimp? How does it have an image library, and does it have a limit?
As far as the images that you would add to your campaign, you mean?
Does Mailchimp keep an image library?
It does. So basically the way that works is if you're inside your campaign and you want to view images, when you click into add an image, you'll see all the prior images that we used. And you can use them over and over and over again. And I actually prefer this view.
Right. Now, is there a limit to the number of images, or do you have to pay when you get
okay, so I know Constant Contact does have a hiccup there. I remember working with Seth's account, and it did limit me to a very small amount of images. It was a bit frustrating. I have yet to exhaust Mailchimp's limits. They give you enough in the free account to where I have yet to exhaust it, and I use a lot of images. That said, usually I upgrade at some point because I hit my limits, or I won't be able to send more tests or want some of the other features that a free account doesn't allow. So I'll pay $10 a month to get a paid account, and that seems to affect that as well. So the point is I've never run into those limits, and I think they've designed it that way. Okay. We've covered most of it. The other thing that needs to happen, obviously, is we need to be able to send. And
We're losing you. You're getting fuzzy.
Start a thing.
How about now?
Try again.
How about now? We good?
Better.
Yeah, it's better.
There was a hiccup. I don't know what's going on.
It's Google.
I'm going to create a
Making
social
changes.
card. And I'm going to go ahead and just click send, and it's going to pop up. Are you sure you want to send this to one subscriber, which is Seth? And I'm going to say yes. Seth's about to get an email, and then I can sit here on my reports. As soon as it sends, it has to send first. It'll take a second. Started sending, and it's sent. So now it's in my reports, and I can sit here and wait and see if Seth actually opens it. And if he's watching right now, which I guarantee he's not because he's super busy building content, he will open it up, and I will literally see that he opened it. I can tell what he clicked on. So if my campaign is effective, meaning it's drawing people in and taking them to my website and taking advantage of my offer, if you will. And that's a really handy thing when you have prospects to see if they're paying attention. If they don't unsubscribe, that's a bonus. If they do, then you pretty much know that you either bothered them with your email or they're just not interested in your service. And that's a good thing because then you don't have to spend your time trying to market to them anymore or keeping them up to date with what you're doing.
Can you schedule your
So I'm about to show you a couple of things that's really handy. For one, replicating your campaign. I'm going to start with that by clicking replicate, send to the entire list, and then I'm going to jump straight to confirm. And in this case, I'm going to click the schedule button. I can schedule a delivery time based on what I choose.
Nice.
I can, if I am a paid customer, I can choose batch delivery so that it hits different, for example, I may want to hit different segments of my list or different regions. The other thing that's really cool is time warp, which actually sends based on your time zone. That's really cool. So everybody gets it at 9 p.m. locally. Or I can choose let Mailchimp optimize. Mailchimp does a little bit of thinking and comes back and says your maximum engagement are these hours, and you'd be shocked. 11 o'clock at night and midnight are fantastic times to send an email. And I'm not sure if it's because more people are not thinking about work and they're, oh, this is an interesting offer, or if it's something else related. I'm not sure. Maybe it's just the stats, or maybe it's wrong. But it's, typically when I use Optimize, it does work. So Mailchimp knows something. That's a really cool feature. What else can I show you before we... Oh, test email. This is a really important one. So you can either preview your campaign here on both a mobile device or in your inbox, or you can actually send a test campaign, and you can choose what emails to send that to by simply typing them in. So in this case, I'll send it to Eric at 74 and send a test, and boom, I will get. Now see, Impact Radius just sent me something probably pretty spammy, but I'm part of their mailing list as I type that. So this is actually an email that just came in that is from a campaign similar to what we're talking about. That's how it's being done. They don't all use Mailchimp. A lot of them do. Some of them use internal systems or other products.
Can you see if it went to their spam folder, or you just assume that they haven't opened it?
You know, yeah, after you look at the stats, you typically can determine if you're getting in. The nice thing about these types of services and what avoids, now obviously if you put something like, you know, get this for free now in your subject line, you're going to end up in a spam folder. So you have to be very careful what you put in your subject line. But the nice thing about Mailchimp and some of the others is that they actually usually get around the spam folder, and that's a good thing. Also, you have to be careful if you use a service like this, because it uses your own domain, you could actually at some point get blacklisted. And you know, I've seen this happen before with clients where, you know, they went a little haywire with it, and inevitably their domain was just something that was automatically put into a spam filter by Google or Gmail.
Can you also tell if people have unsubscribed or?
Yeah, so in your stats, when you go and look at your reports, if they did in fact unsubscribe, you would see 0 subscribers here, and it would show right here as an unsubscribe. You can also use the app on your iPhone or your Android, which is really handy to quickly view the success of your campaign. It'll tell you everybody who's unsubscribed, and it pretty much happens right away and over time. Because it's proprietary, I can't take you into our account and show that online, but there's a tremendous amount of data that is provided by these reports, and it's very useful. For example, if you see a prospect that opened your email 16 times, they're probably pretty interested in you, and you might want to send them a gift, at least another email or a phone call.
So it seemed like there'd be 2 ways they wouldn't accept it. One would be initially where they don't confirm it, and secondly, if they've unsubscribed. But unsubscribed seems that they've already at some point subscribed.
So yeah, if they're on your list, they're on your list. So they either didn't get it, it went into spam, or they just weren't interested.
Right.
There's also the off chance that the connection between their email product and Mailchimp isn't giving back reliable data. I can assure you that the stats are not perfect in any way, shape, or form. Different types of tools and different internet connections, and depending upon how you use it, and I'm sure there's firewalls out there that block the whatever it is that sends back to Mailchimp that acknowledges that somebody opened. It's not a perfect system, but it gives you a pretty good idea. A great example in a campaign like for the one we sent, I think it was yesterday, announcing this hangout, I could probably guess without looking at it that it was probably close to 22% open rate, maybe even higher.
Are there
So that was my next question. What's a good percentage rate, a good open percentage rate?
So now that's all relative. If we're talking about conversions and we're talking about the results of your campaign.
Mm-hmm. Eric, you're freezing again. We're losing you. Go back and say the last 2 sentences. All we're getting is
Gotta love Google.
Yeah, it's lovely. Are you back now? No, not yet. Okay. Do you use a either Mailchimp or Constant Contact, Dennis?
No, I don't.
Do you use anything?
No, not right now. I did
Okay.
subscribe to Constant Contact. I just find I don't have time. You know, it's like.
Well, I use it. I set up the scheduling. When I sit down and do my marketing, I do a whole quarter's worth of marketing at one time, so I don't have to do it again for a while. And the second thing that happens is I have many, many clients that I've helped 1 or 2 or 3 times,
Right.
and they're done. And I will find, going back and looking at the reports that Eric has said, that somebody that I haven't seen for, we'll say, even a year has suddenly opened up one of my campaigns, and that tells me that they're interested in seeing me, but they just haven't got around to calling me. So many times I'll go back and call them, and they'll say, oh boy, gee, I'm glad you called. I have this problem.
Yeah, I guess the challenge is to build a good mailing list. And I know that, like, when you go to chambers, people don't like being, you know.
Well, yeah, I'm not using a chamber's mailing list or that kind of thing. I'm using my customers. I'm using people that I deal with or have dealt with. Eric, are we back?
Am I back?
You're back. We had our own little side conversation there.
I was listening. It was fabulous. I don't know what the problem is. I don't know if it's Google or it does say I'm having network difficulties, but I have over 80 megabits per second, so I'm not sure what it is. In any event, what's up?
This is probably fairly subjective. I don't know if there's any empirically validatable data out there, but what in your gut is more effective, you know, social media or doing mailings, email?
Email is absolutely, without question, the best direct response mechanism out there. If you build your list properly, let me give you an example of a perfect situation and what you want to strive for. If you go to schoolofbookkeeping.com or Too Legit to Audit, you notice that pop-up that just comes up and says, hey, if you want to stay in touch, you want to subscribe to us and be aware of our course announcements and what have you, put in your email address. Well, I won't give you any stats because that would be unfair to my team, but we get a ridiculous number of those every single day. So those are people that are truly interested in what we're doing. They will inevitably, at some point, a certain percentage of them become subscribers or students to our site. So if you're building that list and using it wisely and providing them with value, they're eventually going to subscribe. Yeah, so you're on camera right now, buddy.
Just get out of the shower?
No, he's in his pajamas.
It's a pajama day.
I know.
They're the best.
All right, guys, I'm going to actually cut this one off because I think we've covered all the topics. Do you have any other questions?
Just one on if you wanted to do a campaign where you can be sending out a series of, be an autoresponder, where you can be sending out a series of emails. I mean, I'm getting this. I signed up this one. I belong to this other marketing group, and I signed up on his list, and I'm getting all his emails, because I signed up. And is that something that you can just sort of schedule them to go off?
So autoresponders are definitely an interesting piece of the puzzle. I can do an entire session on that, so it's not an easy answer. But yes, am I cutting out?
Yeah, hang out on autoresponders.
Yeah, it's a big deal. But it can be very useful if you plan it wisely.
So it kind of depends on how good your list is in terms of defining your target market.
I mean, if you're going to sell somebody a newsletter, for example, and you want to take them through the steps of getting to know you and learning more about you before it, you know what? The best thing I can say to you is read the book by Gary Vaynerchuk, Jab, 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 Right Hook. Jab before you swing. Right? So each one of those autoresponders might be a little tickle to more information, and then bam, here comes the close with the right hook. Okay. And if that right hook is valuable, then it's going to knock out the opponent or get them to buy. That's the idea.
Okay, that's interesting.
Sound good?
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you. That concludes our second weekly Thursday morning hangout. That's Jackson Greenspan, and he really wants my attention. So I appreciate you spending the time with us, and I look forward to seeing you next week, Thursday at 9 a.m. And do not forget, tomorrow Seth David, Accounting and Technology, Friday morning hangout, 8 a.m.
Okay. Thanks.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.